Hey everyone, welcome to the Restorative Reading and Writing for Wellness podcast. I'm Stephanie, a book-loving, notebook-hoarding reader and writer on a mission to change lives one book and one notebook at a time. On this podcast, we explore the power of books and notebooks as tools for wellness. Reading and writing can help us feel better and make life better too, and I'll show you how I do it. You'll find episodes exploring the research behind reading and writing for wellness, practical strategies to embrace your own restorative reading and writing, and you'll meet authors and special guests who help us take inspired actions in our own daily practices too. So grab a notebook and your TBR list and let's dive into today's episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Restorative Reading and Writing for Wellness. I'm Stephanie Affinito, and I'm here with another episode on how reading and writing can make life better. If you are listening to this episode in real time on the day or close to it that it was released, then we just completed Thanksgiving week here in the United States. I hope that if you celebrate, it was full of all of the holiday fixings that you wanted it to be full of, and that you're looking forward to the upcoming holiday season and looking for ways to fill it with festiveness and joy. Now, I want to talk to you today about something I've noticed. When I am talking to other people at this wonderful, beautiful, festive time of the year, the same kinds of comments and the same kinds of questions come in. Life is getting busy. It's it's harder to find the time to read. Our own time for self-care is going down as all of our seasonal obligations, no matter how wonderful they are going up. And our reading lives, they're taking a hit. It's harder in this busy yet wonderful holiday season to find time to decompress, to find time to read, to even get in the mood for reading because our minds are so busy and running on all of the other things that we have to do and get ready for and prepare for. But we know that if we take that time for ourselves, if we take that time to read, there are so many health benefits that come with slowing down, that come with reading, especially right now in the midst of a busy season. So I wanted to dedicate an entire episode on staying true to your reading life at this season of the calendar in a very special way, which is probably my most favorite thing to talk about to anybody that will listen outside of reading and writing, and that's Gretchen Rubin's Four Tendencies Framework. Today, we are going to talk about how you can keep your reading life going strong, even in this busy holiday season, by paying attention to your personality profile and personalizing your techniques and your strategies and your tactics to keep your reading life strong as we near the end of the year. So, if you don't know about Gretchen Rubin's Four Tendencies Framework, don't worry. I will give you a very quick overview at the top of this episode so that you can understand what it is I'm talking about. But I will tell you where you can go for more information to take the quiz for yourself to truly find your Four Tendencies Framework tendency from Gretchen Rubin herself. We'll review the tendencies. We'll lean into a couple of strategies per tendency so that you can keep your reading life feeling really good at this busy time of year. And I'll leave you with a couple of tools and prompts, of course, to take into the week as you give some of this information a try. So let's dive in to Gretchen Rubin's Four Tendencies Framework. This is by far my favorite and easiest to understand personality profile that has made a huge difference in my personal life. So the Four Tendencies Framework is based on two kinds of expectations we all face. The outer expectations, like meeting work deadlines, doing something that is for others or for friends or for family. Those are the expectations outside of ourselves. And then we have inner expectations like, I'm going to get healthier and I'm going to exercise. I'm going to start meditating every day. I'm going to keep reading all season long. Based on those expectations, outer expectations and inner expectations, Gretchen designed this framework that shows us what our tendency is. And there are four of them. Okay, so upholders are those people that readily respond to both outer and inner expectations, right? Gretchen Rubin says your kind of catchphrase, if you're an upholder, is discipline is my freedom. You love routines, you love rituals, you love a checklist, you love a calendar, because if it gets on all those things, it gets done, no matter who it's for. By the way, fellow upholder here. Questioners, however, question all of their expectations. They will meet it only if it makes sense to them. So essentially, they take any outer expectation and decide, am I going to do something about this or not? Is it going to become an inner expectation or not? And if they feel that it's worth their while, then they are all in. Now, obligers, they readily meet outer expectations for everyone else, but they struggle to meet their own inner expectations. They struggle to do their own self-care, to meet their own needs, to show up for themselves unless they have someone helping them along. So these are all the doers and the givers, but they tend to keep themselves at arm's length in the self-care department. Finally, there are rebels. You can imagine what I'm going to say, but rebels resist all expectations, whether they're inner expectations or outer expectations. And Gretchen's catchphrase for this one is, you can't make me, and neither can I. Rebels will just resist until they decide that they want to do something, often because they are rebelling against something else. So, knowing my framework has been so helpful in my own personal life, but in my work as an educator and in my work as a coach of adults, it is so helpful to know what other people's tendency is, because then I can help. And so that's what I want this episode to be for you. If you already know your tendency, great. We are going to jump into a couple of strategies per tendency. But if you don't know your tendency yet, perhaps as I just quickly reviewed those, you leaned in one of those directions. Like, yes, Stephanie, I'm with you. I'm an upholder. We get it all done and we live by our calendar. Or maybe you're an obliger, nodding your head as I said, I get everything else done for everybody else, but I struggle to do things for myself. Maybe you recognized yourself in one of those tendencies. But if you didn't, and if you want to be sure, you might press pause right now on this podcast. Head to GretchenRubin.com. Go ahead and take the formal quiz that Gretchen offers and get your tendencies sent right to your inbox. Then come back and press play so that you can lean into your tendency when helping you really lean into your reading life this season. So now that that quick refresher of the tendencies is complete, let's move on to a couple of strategies per tendency type. Okay, so let's start with our upholders because, well, that's me. All of us upholders thrive with structure and clarity. Okay, we like a plan, we like a routine, we like a habit. We might be a tad over rigid and feel really guilty when we break a streak, or as Gretchen Rubin says, break the chain. But honestly, we get things done. We reply and respond to both inner and outer expectations, and if it's for us, we will follow it through. And so, a couple of reading strategies for all of you upholders. One, create a schedule and put it on the calendar with clear start and stop times. If you're an upholder, you love your calendar, right? And if you put something on your calendar, you're going to do it. So I recommend looking at your calendar, whether you're trying to do Sunday planning like I am, or you're just taking a look at your Google Calendar or whatever device or software you use, see where you might block in actual reading time. Whether that's a couple of days a week or just one, if you can find a little block, 10-minute block is really all you need to settle in, although, of course, we would love to read more. Find a place on the schedule, put it in, and if you're an upholder, you know you will uphold yourself to that because you do not like to disappoint and you do not like to take things off your plate, right? You just want to keep putting them on, or at least I do. So there's one strategy. Actually create a schedule and put it on the calendar. If you're an upholder, perhaps this strategy will help you. Use some sort of reading tracker or a reading app. Use some sort of page in your notebook where you check off every day that you read. Use a habit tracker and fill in little shaded squares based on how many minutes you've read, how many days that you've read, right? Go on to your favorite reading app. Maybe it's Goodreads, maybe it's Storygraph, and start making your progress public there so that you can track the books that you're reading. That is a high like no other. Now, a third strategy is to choose a reading challenge that has some milestones, right? Us upholders, we love a good challenge, especially if it's written down and we can track our progress. So maybe you create a reading challenge for yourself. Maybe you join a reading community that has some reading challenges, or maybe you just decide how many books you want to read in this particular season before the year is over and mark that somewhere and remind yourself of it. Now, I want to remind you, those are 3 tips for upholders, but the thing that I need to say most to all of us upholders is this. We need to remember that we can read just for fun, not just to get things done, not just to check it off the box, not just because it was on the calendar, but truly try to give yourself permission to read just to read and enjoy it. Those strategies will ensure you do, but make sure you really savor the time once you are actually reading. Okay, let's move on to questioners. Now, remember, questioners are those who will meet expectations as long as they feel like they should and it's meaningful to them. So, questioners really need a strong why that makes sense, right? So, a lot of questioners will do research, perhaps over research things. They might get decision fatigue. They might be a little bit skeptical of all these reading challenges and things that people say I should be doing in my reading life. And so questioners need to follow their why. And so, a strategy I have for you in keeping your reading life going strong in this busy season is to create a purposeful TBR, right? I like to call it a book apothecary that is based on your own personal values, your goals, and the things you are curious about, right? Make your reading life a strong why as it relates to your actual life. Why should I find the time to read? Because these books help me do X, Y, and Z. So really be careful and intentional about the books that you are reading during this time so that they all feel worthwhile when you show up. Now, another thing that you might consider if you are a questioner is to set yourself up with a specific reading question or a theme and read into that, right? So it's related to that purposeful TBR, but if something interests you, if something is sparking your curiosity, if you have a question that you are trying to answer about your life, lean into the books that can help you explore that or answer them. Now, the other thing related to choosing books is to reach out to those you trust. Ask the people who know you well, what should I read? Ask others, right? Or reach out to others that you value and see what they're reading and why. And when you get some compelling responses, this is a book you would love. This is a book that should be read. As a questioner, you can decide if it is good enough, I guess, to back your why and your intention and really lean into it. So while most of my strategies for upholders were about finding the time and just putting it on the calendar, because if we do, it will get done, questioners need to read more into their why and into their intention. Because if we can get behind the books that are ready for them to read, then they are going to make the time. Okay, let's move into obligers. Obligers are those that meet all of their external expectations for someone else and from someone else, but they struggle when they are trying to meet their own. So, in terms of their reading life, reading lives with obligers are easily pushed aside when other things get on their plate, when other people need them, right? If no one is there with them or holding them accountable, they'll just push their own needs to the side. So, my strategies for obligers revolve around building accountability. So, one thing an obliger might do during this time of year is join a book club. Join a book club, join an online community. I have one if that is you. You can head to my Get Literate community on Substack and join us there. We are reading into beautiful themes every month. We have book clubs, we have writing sessions, all sorts of other live events, and lots of fun that can help you feel part of a community that will give you that FOMO in a good way, that fear of missing out. Now, you could also just decide to share your reading goals publicly as a way to give yourself accountability. Even better if you're doing that with a partner or with a book bestie, because putting that out there will help others follow up with you and help you reach those goals. Now, you might also use a bit of reward system for yourself. I think this goes for anyone, but it works, I think Gretchen would say, especially well for obligers to treat yourself after reaching whatever milestone you wanted to reach. Now, ideally, you would treat yourself with another book, right? Purchase that book from the indie bookstore. Get that really nice bookmark that you could use in the next book that you're reading. Give yourself some sort of logical treat that will continue to boost your reading life. So, in terms of accountability, joining a community, sharing those goals publicly, ideally with someone, and treating yourself when you're reaching your personal inner goals, those can be really important, helpful strategies for obligers. Now, let's move on to the rebels. Rebels need freedom. Rebels need choice. Rebels resist all expectations, whether they are inner expectations or outer expectations, because they just feel boxed in by them. They don't want to conform to any sort of expectation, and they'll do what they want to do when they want to do it. So for rebels, we are not going to lean into putting things on the calendar and asking them to join challenges and state their reading goals. No. For rebels, we need to make reading feel like part of your identity. I am someone who reads, and therefore I read. I don't read because you want me to. I don't read because this book club says I should read this book. I am someone who reads because of X, Y, and Z of my own personal reading, my own personal identity. So the strategies for rebels really need to connect to that identity and the sense of freedom. Okay, so maybe for you, you're not paying really, really close attention to your book choice, but you've got a little basket. You've got a special book bag, and you just have a little bit of everything in there so that whatever you decide to choose, you choose. It's not a structured TBR. You're just maybe leaning into some mood reading or reading on a whim. You have books available, but you've got a lot of things to choose from so that you can decide where to read, what to read, and when to read whenever you want. Now, for rebels, even though you don't like rules, perhaps rebels like rituals. Because if we are leaning into rebels embracing that reading identity, rituals can help us do that, right? Brewing that really wonderful cup of coffee as you get your book ready. Lighting that candle as you sit down at the table to get started. Finding that cozy place in your home with the blanket and the fuzzy socks. Rebelling against any other expectations to do anything but just sit and relax. That is what appeals to a rebel. Now, one other thing for a rebel is to make it fun, make it novel, make it new, make it different, just spark something. So maybe there is a seasonal theme that you want to read into and you just decide to do it. Maybe you love mood reading because, you never know what mood you're going to be in and you could just pick it up. For rebels, books that have some creative formats or formats that don't have to be read left to right, beginning to end, might be best for you. So, books with short stories and short essay collections. So, you can decide where you want to start and end your reading could be really, really helpful. So it's like reading as an act of freedom and even as an act of defiance, right? Instead of doing that, I'm just going to read instead. That can be a way for a rebel to really get closer to their strong reading life. Okay, we made it through all four. Upholders, we are giving structure and clarity to our reading life. Questioners, we are giving a strong why to our reading life and really leaning into how we choose titles for ourselves. Obligers, we are setting ourselves up with some extra accountability during this season. And for rebels, we're leaning into our identities as readers and really pushing freedom and choice. So, as you listen to that, I imagine you're identifying pieces of yourselves that you heard. Maybe you were getting sparked by those ideas that felt really good to you in the moment. I'd love for you to just think with me for a minute. Think about three things. Number one, what has helped you read more in the past? This isn't the first busy season you have ever faced. This probably isn't the first reading dip you've ever faced. And so, what helped you in the past when you found yourself in that situation previously? What help you get through it? What help you get over it? And could those same things work in this particular season? That's question one. Question two, what gets in my way of the reading life I want to have? Is it the structure to set up the habits for my reading life? Is it the motivation to get started? Is it the accountability I need? Do I just need more choices? What gets in my way? And maybe it's your life that's getting in the way. And so you need a bit more planning, or you need to get up a few minutes earlier, or decide that one other thing can get let go of to give you the time to read that you would like. Question three, my favorite one. What am I willing to experiment with for the next 2 weeks? Right? Maybe it's 1 week, maybe it's two, maybe it's three, maybe it's till the end of the year, but what are you willing to experiment with? What might you be willing to try so that your reading life doesn't take a hit in this very busy season? I mean, imagine, let's think forward to January. You've paid attention to your tendency. You've given yourself strategies that relate to your tendency. And what if stuff like this happens? What if you're an obliger and you actually read a couple of books before the year was done because you joined a community and you set yourself up with a book bestie? What if you were a rebel and you found joy in reading again because you leaned into mood reading? What if you're a questioner and you realize that you built a very purposeful reading life based on the themes that you're curious with at this season of the calendar and this season in your life? Or maybe you are an upholder and you ended up transforming your whole morning routine by adding some reading, and you can't believe what you've accomplished and how good you feel. All of that can happen if you just lean into your tendency, apply those tendency strategies to your reading life, and then you watch your actual life feel better. So I want you to take on that call to action of experimenting with just one thing that is tailored to your tendency. I would love for you to share it with me. You can find me at social media at Affinito Lit. You can find me at alitlife.com and put some comments in the show notes, or maybe you head over to Substack and you find me there and you send me a chat message or even add yourself to our community. Now, before we go, I have one more thing to share that I think could really help you lean into your reading life in this busy season, and that's my restorative reading and writing pencil pouch. I had such fun creating one for fall, and I have just opened the cart for the winter restorative reading and writing pencil pouch. It's a whole new pencil pouch, and it is stuffed with all new materials. It's an all new playlist and an all new live retreat event as well. And it is going to be just as fun as it was for fall. So if you need, I'm looking at you obligers, a bit of accountability in terms of having the tools show up at your doorstep so that you can lean into your reading life, then I think this is a great choice for you. It's also great for an upholder who knows if that arrives in the mailbox, it will get done. It's great for a questioner because they've thought about it, weighed the pros and cons, and went ahead and bought it. And it's good for a rebel because who tells me what I have to buy for myself? I'm going to buy this. So I hope that leaning into these tendencies helps you feel even better about staying strong in your reading life. I know these strategies have certainly helped me. And one last thing, all of these strategies work for your writing life too. So if you wanted to do more notebooking, more journaling, you wanted to get some writing out there to a community or even attempt to publish in the future, knowing your tendency can help you bring those dreams to life as well. So, thank you for listening, everyone. Here's to a lovely season of festive reading and keeping our reading life strong as we move into that busy season and close out 2025. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode, everyone. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Restorative Reading and Writing for Wellness podcast. You'll find links to all of the books, resources, and ideas mentioned in the show notes and at alitlife.com. And if you want more, you might like to join my Get Literate Substack community. There, you'll find additional inspiration for your reading and writing life, like bonus podcast episodes, book calendars, monthly book clubs, notebooking inspiration, live events, giveaways, and much more. It's only $5 a month, and you get instant access to all of the previous content, too. You can learn more at getliterate.co. But there's one more thing. If you love what you listened to today, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast, or take a screenshot of the episode and text it to a friend. This helps the podcast grow and builds our bookish and notebookish community, too. Thanks for listening, everyone.